sciences, which includes academic and non-academic. Sorry. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes, we can see your screen. Please go ahead.
Yes,
Right.
yes, we can.
Okay, so yeah, academic and non-academic jobs at universities and higher education institutions across Africa. The African Jobs Board aims to increase academic mobility by providing professional service roles within Africa and support continental recruitment for African higher education institutions. These are some of our objectives: post both academic and non-academic jobs at universities and higher education institutions on the continent to promote and retain exceptional talent within Africa, generate insight into the academic jobs market in Africa, provide career advice content on the website to aid job seekers in sharpening their skills to earn. So these are our major partners. These are our partners: Association of African Universities, which is us, and Warwick Employment Group, and ESA, Education Sub-Saharan Africa. These are some of the statistics I would want to share with you since the inception of the project. Number of jobs posted on the platform, we have over 1,000 jobs posted so far, and we have 257 institutions as employers on the project. And then we have users, over 26,000 users, and over 1,200 jobs applicants who applied via email, and 2,700 via URL. And we have 510 subscribers and over 2,000 jobs alerts. And we have close to 40,000 sessions on the platform since inception. So benefit of using the African Jobs Board: 1, using the platform helps to improve your institution with exceptional African talent. 2, the platform assists to educate our future leaders. And the African Jobs Board was created to benefit the entire education system on the continent, which has always been the goal of Association of African Universities. And so please enjoy our webinar today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Larry, for that insight into the African Higher Education Jobs Board, which is a platform that is here to help curate all jobs across the African continent, specifically related to higher education, both academic and non-academic as well. So we now begin our webinar for today. And as you know, the topic for our webinar is the topic for our webinar today is "You were rejected. What's next?" This is a topic that comes up more often than not, especially for our young graduates who are trying to get jobs in higher education across the continent. Sometimes they are unable to pass the interview process, and it becomes quite difficult on them. Some fall harshly on themselves, blame themselves for their mishaps, and it causes a lot of issues. So today we brought 2 seasoned professionals to talk to you about this topic. Now I would introduce them. Because we wanted to balance gender, we brought 1 lady and then 1 gentleman. So I'll introduce the lady first, since that is the right thing to do as a gentleman. So first panelist is Miss Joan Ekuya-Iyoha. She is the Assistant Human Resource Officer at the Association of African Universities. She has an MBA in Corporate Governance, and she is an associate member of the Institute of Directors in Ghana. She aspires to be an expert in corporate affairs and human resource management across the African continent. And we are glad to have her at AAU because she has helped us out a lot with our human resource issues for herself and her team, her boss. They have done a lot for the AAU. So we are very keen to hear the insight that she has on this subject matter. And we have Mr. Samuel Mawley Anako. He is the Senior Human Resource Coordinator at the Ashesi University of Ghana. And he has about 7 years experience in being in higher education, working with higher education institutions. He has worked with Ashesi for about 6 years, almost 7 years, I believe. And he's also worked with the University of Cape Coast in Ghana as well. He is SHRM certified, who is a certified professional with the Society of Human Resource Management. And we are very pleased to have both of them joining us today. So please join us on stage by showing your videos so you can say hi to the audience before we begin our session.
Hello everyone, this is Samuel.
Nice to meet you, Mr. Samuel. Welcome. John, is it possible to share your screen? Okay, I think maybe Joan is having some connection issues, but she would turn on her video as soon as she can so that we'll be able to engage in this wonderful discussion. I forgot to introduce myself. As you can see from my name, I am Frank Kasifua. I am the project manager for the African Jobs, Higher Education Jobs Board project that you heard about. I am also a web developer at the AAU. I've been with the AAU for about 7 years as well. So I almost have the same amount of time as Mr. Samuel, as he has had at Ashesi. So we would go ahead and check again with Joan if it's possible for her to turn on her video. Hi, Joan, can you hear us? The use of technology, sometimes these things happen. The AU team will check with Ms. Joan and then assist her to be able to connect. So in order not to waste too much of your time, we'll begin the discussion. And as soon as she is in, she'll be able to share her viewpoints with us as well. Also, please note that some of the questions are general. There may be specific questions that you want answered. Please note that you can ask those questions in chat and I'll read them out to the resource persons for you so that you can also have your questions answered in here as well. If you have comments to make, please post them in there as well. We would also want that discussion to happen as well. So, Mr. Samuel, the first question I would want to ask you is, so I've gone to an interview and then I think I did well. And then a few days later, I'm waiting for an offer letter, and all of a sudden, I get a rejection letter. What do I do at in that situation?
Okay, thank you, Frank. And once again, good morning, good afternoon to all of you on this call. So, Frank, rejection is not easy, to be honest with you. But it's part of life. That's one thing that we all need to know, that at any point in time, you get rejected. In fact, in our interpersonal, romantic, in our daily lives, you get rejected. So rejection is part of life. I just want to put that point across. Now, Frank, there are so many things that goes into recruitment, and hopefully, before this session ends, I should be able to explain a lot for your viewers and your audience. Now, if you receive a rejection letter, it's common. One thing you need to know is that you are not the only one applying for a job. Anytime there's a job opening, there's a plethora, let me use that word, of applicants that apply for a job. Now, if you go through the recruitment process, you are lucky, you get shortlisted, and you go through the recruitment process. And along the way, you get rejected. So many factors come into play. And because of time, I can't go deeply. But what I will say is that, well, it has happened. So what you need to do is, what you need to look at is what you would do after the rejection. That's the most important thing. And I believe that's what we are coming to discuss today. So your question is nice, but I think I'll need a little bit of context to it to be able to answer it for you fully. Yes, right. What I can tell you is that there are a lot of options available for you after you receive a rejection letter instead of an offer letter. And you can go ahead and find out why you didn't get selected for the role. And there are so many reasons why you end up not being selected as the final person for an open position. So let me just say that you have so many options, but the best thing to do then is to just try to find out and get feedback on why you were not able to move on to the next phase of the recruitment process. I think if you want to follow up with questions, then I am glad.
So if I'm to ask for feedback, who should I direct that feedback at? Okay, so
I'm going to answer the question based on the scenario you gave. So rejection can actually happen at various stages of the recruitment process, the recruitment and selection process. Now, you can get rejected even at the shortlisting phase, where you don't even get shortlisted for a role. You can also get rejected along the recruitment process, because most companies don't use just a single phase in doing their recruitment. Most, well-established organizations will use a multi-phase recruitment, where there'll be phone screening, there could be interview, there could be assessment and further assessment even before an offer is made. Now, I am assuming, based on the question you asked, that you have already gone through the process or you are in the process. Now, the person you need to reach out to is probably the HR person you've been communicating to. Now, you have to do this with some tact and skill. Rejection brings a lot of things. Can bring psychological, mental related issues. So what happens is that most of the time people get emotional, and instead of using the opportunity to ask for constructive feedback, they are focusing more on the emotions than the feedback that's actually going to help them to improve upon their the next time they have an opportunity, improve upon what they couldn't do well. Now, it's always good to communicate with the person that you've been in touch with throughout the recruitment process. Now, companies may use different platforms to send feedback to candidates. It could be like text message, it could be by email, it could be by a phone call. So I am assuming that the person that you keep in touch with all the time during the recruitment process will be the best person to reach out to. Now, some candidates may not want to work directly with the HR personnel that they are dealing with. They may just want to go ahead and start talking to the top level people in the organization. My advice to you is don't do that. That's not acceptable. Don't do it. There's a reason why. So hopefully, as we go on with the discussion, I'll be able to share some insight on that. So yes, the person to ask for feedback is the HR people who you have been in communication with.
Great answers. So the next question would be, sometimes people feel they are the issue. So they would look at their resume, throw it away, do some changes, put some stuff in it. You see, like resumes are so unique nowadays. There are almost so many different types of resumes that are being done. There are those which are being done stylishly. There are those which are having like 7 or 10 pages, things like that. So do I then tear down my resume and then I restructure it? Is that also another approach to use?
Okay, so it's a very good question you asked. So when I started speaking, I said that rejection can come even before you get shortlisted. Now, the question you have actually thrown to me suggests that a person is rejected probably because their CV was poorly prepared. Now, let me just take the time to explain the recruitment and the selection phase, so that maybe it can give us some context so that we can be able to fit the questions in very well. So you can get rejected at the shortlisting phase, and most of the time it is either because your CV doesn't meet the specific job description that has been posted. It will be because your CV was poorly prepared, which happens a lot. From my experience, I've seen various kinds of CVs. I can tell you that we need to actually teach people how to prepare resumes and CVs. Oh, by the way, there's a difference between a resume and a CV. For people who are just starting off, a resume is a good way to go. To maximum 2-page document, just detailing your experience, basically your professional experience.
Okay.
Those academia can write CVs because they probably have publications, they have workshops and stuff they need to put in on their CV, so can make it a bit longer. So yes, poor CVs can prevent you from getting shortlisted. Now,
okay. Sorry. Please go ahead.
Okay. Sorry about that. Yeah, so it is very important that but it's very unfortunate that you may not be able to actually detect that the reason why you were not shortlisted was because of your CV. Yes, that's why you also, as a job seeker or applicant, need to make sure that you put in your best foot by doing your research work, preparing your CV, giving it out for people to read through for you, proofreading, and making sure that your CV is in shape or your resume is in shape to be able to attract attention. And also, in addition to that, nowadays, most global companies use application or applicant tracking systems now, or ATS. What these systems do is that, as I said, when you open up an open position, you get a lot of applicants. It's very difficult for hiring managers or HR people to go through 200, 400, 500 CVs. So what these systems have come to do is they're able to do shortlisting on their own. And they have technology, artificial intelligence, machine learning, everything incorporated into it. So it's just a matter of giving some keywords to the system, feeding it with some keywords, and it's able to pick out CVs that fit that particular keyword. So you can actually get rejected, not because your CV is actually bad or your resume is bad, but just because you didn't prepare it well enough for the applicant system to actually detect that. So it's a whole lot of things. But I always advise that as an individual, every year, try to review your CV, even if you are already employed, fully employed, every year, because you do things every year. So just make sure that you restructure your CV. And if you go through any job rejection, first of all, it means that your CV was good enough for you to even get called for interview or for assessment, even before you get rejected, right? So maybe you just need to make sure that it fits the role that you are applying for. Sorry, I put so much effort in explaining this, but I just wanted to
No, that's fine. That's very important information for us to be able to see how we structure it. I see a lot of these systems being used and deployed, and I think that is probably where a lot of the shortlisting doesn't happen with it. Yes. Joan is ready to join us. She was having some computer issues, but I think she is okay to join us now. Joan, can you say hi if you're available to hear us, if you can hear us? Okay, we would wait on Joan while we're this. If you are speaking, you're muted as well. So unmute and then let's see if you can hear us. Okay, I think she's still having technical issues. So we'll get back to her as soon as she's ready to join. But thank you very much for that insight, Samuel. I think that's hi.
Yeah, sorry, my laptop is still messing up.
Sorry about that.
So I'm using my phone.
Okay, all right. So we have gone to a few of the questions. So please feel free to jump in with the next questions that are coming up, if that's fine with you.
Yes, please, that's fine.
Great.
I'm trying to connect my earpiece. Joining this afternoon.
Just a minute. Okay. All right. If you could just wave hi to us, we can partially see you. So just say hi, and then we'll continue from there. Hello. Okay. Okay, we can go ahead. All right. So how many times do I realize in an interview, let's say I am applying for a position, I keep applying for that same position and I keep getting rejected time and time again? What do I do in that situation? Samuel, you can go ahead.
Okay, I'm smiling because I'm just thinking, why do you keep on applying for the same position over and over again? Anyways, I think probably you want to be in the same field. That's why you are focusing your attention on that area.
Mm-hmm.
So it is not a bad thing to continue to focus your attention on a particular career. However, there are a myriad of opportunities that you can explore that can actually help you to reach your final goal in terms of your career. However, what our advice is that let me make this practical. So let's say, for instance, you want to be in finance, you're applying for a finance role. I want to believe that the question does not mean that you're applying for a finance role in a same company.
No. Okay. Multiple companies, yeah.
Multiple companies. And I think this explains things. So you can still want to be in the finance field, but you might want to look at exploring other things because, for instance, finance will require you, most finance institutions will require you, or if you want to work in finance, you'll be required to charter, have a global certification. So if you do not have that, that could be a reason why you are, first of all, being rejected for that role all the times. Now, you can explore other options, not a finance person per se, but all a related field that is in the finance field. You can even try customer service because customer service, set the base for a whole lot of things. So you don't need to totally switch, but you can put in place a plan that, okay, I want to do this okay, I'm looking for a finance role, but I I am not able to get interviews for this role. So let me look at probably finance research related role. So now we have fintech and all those stuff. So maybe you have some technology training. You might want background. You might want to just find a way that you can do some technology and add finance to it, so that you don't necessarily focus on pure finance. So yes, you don't need to. My advice is you don't need to continually apply for the same role all the time. You can look for alternative roles, but that could eventually lead you to achieving your career goals in that particular field that you want to be in.
Wow. So get your foot in the door and then work your way to your desired position. Right. John, do you have any other feedback for us? You're muted. We cannot hear you. I don't know. I think John is still having issues.
I think she needs to use the
yeah, I think maybe you might need to use the without the earpiece. No, we still can't hear you.
Hello?
Sorry. Yes, we can hear you now. Great. Ooh. No, I think she lost connection. Okay. So that is absolutely fine. So I think that is a very wonderful thing we can do. Hello. Sam, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, great. I thought you lost me for a minute. So that is absolutely fine. I think that is a very wonderful way to look at it, that we try other fields which are not exclusively the technical background that we have. If you are able to get your foot into the door through some of the other positions, it might help you to be able to get to that position you're looking for. So I think that is really awesome to do that. The next question was going to be, do you change your career path after multiple rejections? But I think you just mentioned that if you really have a passion for that field, and that is what you have learned, you can add more value to yourself. And by adding the value to yourself, you can then, by adding value to yourself, you can then be able to look for other opportunities. And tech is big. Now, tech companies are springing up everywhere, and they need these people in those companies as well. So it is an alternate that can be really looked up for, and that would be helpful. So the next question will be, how do you then...
Hello, Frank.
Yes, awesome.
I'm back. So I'm using the director of ICT's machine.
Great.
I'm using Miss Lamini's machine.
Great.
So I think I would be a bit stable for now.
Great. We can hear you loud and clear now. Great.
Thank you.
So the next question was, how do we separate emotions from rejection? It's not easy, Samuel, as you mentioned. Because if I've got rejected, especially since I've gone through the phases, I don't know why you wasted my time up here and I'm expecting my offer. And Mr. Samuel said, when you're writing the email back, you should be very tactful and very courteous. How do you manage to alienate your emotions from it?
And as Samuel said, it's not easy managing, and at all, it's not easy, especially when you know that you worked very hard. And there are times you just send random applications with the hope that you may get it and you may not get it. But there are some particular jobs or some particular applications you send and you're like, this one, I'm sure of it, especially if maybe the interview went well. Maybe you went through series of phases of interviews, and the interviewers told you that you hear from us, they were quite positive. They were nodding their heads when you were responding and all. So you feel that this one, I'm getting it. But then you get the rejection mail or the rejection call or the rejection letter. I would say that first of all, cry. If you need to cry, just cry. If you need to express yourself, express it as well as you can. Just express yourself. Accept it that you were rejected. Cry as much as you want to cry, but then don't remain there. Don't stay in that mourning situation or mourning phase for so long. And that is where you have to understand that you are not alone. You were not the only one who was rejected. Definitely there might have been, maybe they might have shortlisted like a number, maybe 10 or 5, and they might have chosen only one. So definitely 8 others or 9 others were rejected. So you were not the only one who was rejected. And then after that, you have to now, if possible, look for groups of HRO groups or applicant groups with people looking for jobs and all. And this can be, you can find a lot on LinkedIn, Telegram and all, where people share their experiences, people share job opportunities and all. Just try and align yourself with groups where, you know, if you express yourself, they would understand. And then you might even find out that there are other people who are in rather worse situations than you are, who have gone through like 10 rejections, and maybe yours is just once or twice. And that alone can motivate you and make you feel that, okay, you are not alone. Yeah, and although you didn't get that particular role, it doesn't necessarily mean that you were not good for it or you were not qualified. Yes, there are areas that you would excel well. So I think at this point, it's for you to sit back and know that, okay, and that is where I think getting feedback comes in. If maybe you got your rejection mail and you were able to get the feedback from the hiring manager and all, definitely they will highlight some of the shortfalls or the reasons. And as I said, it's not always your fault that you were rejected. It could be that the CEO just decided to give his niece, or he decided to just, they could also have just decided not to take the job again, or maybe change some job descriptions and all that, or they could have been a nice lady who just came and they decided to give the job to the person. So it's not always your fault. But then I think when you get the feedback, it would help you know how to prepare for others. And emotionally, it won't be easy. So as I said, just cry out. But when you cry, mop the tears and just move ahead and try and reevaluate your email, CVs, evaluate what the feedback you got and look for how you can move forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, John. So Samuel, do you have more to add?
In fact, John said what I was coming to say, especially with regards to getting support and being part of support groups is very important. In fact, that's the only way you can be able to handle, because when you get to see other people sharing their stories about how, then at least it gives you some hope that, well, I'm not in this alone. I just need to get focused, and hopefully things will work out well. So basically, that's what I would have said.
Great. Great minds think alike, eh? Yeah. So after I've gone through all this, gone through all my crying, my weeping, my depression, mini depression, do I still need to write a thank you letter to them? Especially if I went very far. What do you think? John, go ahead.
Yes, I would. If I'm in that position, I would write a thank you letter. I would definitely write a thank you letter. For some reasons, it helps you show professionalism. Yes, and it shows that, okay, you were hurt and all. But in the thank you letter, if I'm to write a thank you letter, so I will write that, okay, thank you for the response. Thank you for even giving me the opportunity to be interviewed and having like taking some time out of your busy schedule to interview me. And I would register subtly, like mildly register my disappointment, because I really hoped I would to get the job and all. And after that, I would say that, okay, I am still open for any opening. Like if I can be reconsidered, or if there can be any opening. So yes, it is very necessary to write a thank you letter, because as I said, it would show professionalism. It would keep you in the minds of the hiring managers or the recruiters that, okay, this lady got back to us, or this guy and gentleman got back to us, and there can be an opening. It could be that the person they chose, the candidate they chose decided not to take the job, accept it. And just because you wrote that thank you letter, you might be reconsidered. It could also be that it might not be that particular position, but the CEO can just serve as a, should I say, a referee or a reference for you to another opening or something. That, okay, I had this guy who we didn't take, but I think he can serve, it can work for you in your own place. And I think because of that thank you letter, it can take you somewhere. Yeah. So I think it's very, very necessary, though it's not easy. It's not easy writing that thank you letter, thanking you that I was rejected. No, but I think you just have to act graciously and write that thank you letter. So I think it's very, very necessary. Though awesome. it's not it's not something that you have to do, but it's necessary.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Sir Anabu, is there any addition?
I concur with what John said. One thing you also need to know is that in the recruiting space nowadays, what companies are doing is they actually, some companies have applicant pools. Now, because of how difficult it is to do recruitment, go full-blown advertising roles, now seeking for applicants and then going through the whole process, what companies do nowadays is to create an applicant pool. So all those people who have gone through various phases of the recruitment process, who one way or the other couldn't make it out as the preferred candidate, some of them are kept in the applicant pool and get called for other positions whenever those positions become available. So as John rightly said, yes, it shouldn't take you so much to write a rejection, a letter back to say a simple 2-3 sentences even enough just to show.
Thank you. That's awesome. I think it's something that we all need to work harder on to make sure that we write that letter free from emotion and be as calm as possible in a wedding. What I try to do with some emails is I write it down and I let my wife read through it, and then she would point out the tone that you cannot see, because one thing too is messaging or these things which are not, this communication which is not verbal or in person carries different emotion that you might think. You might think you are writing it without any bias, any anger, anything. But when someone reads it, they're like, wow, that's a lot of fire you are dropping there. So we need to be very careful about that. It's also good to rely on someone to proofread it before you send it through. And I think that also applies to normal emails as well, conflicts in the offices and things like that. All those things are also very important. Now, should you continue to show interest despite the rejection from that company? What do you think?
John, would you like to go?
No, I think, yeah, please go.
So this is an interesting question. From my experience, I've actually seen candidates who apply for every job you post.
Wow.
It's real and it happens all the time. However, you have to be very careful about how you go about that. The reason being that if you continually express interest in just any role with the same company, it might send a message across that you're just looking for a job. You're not focused, you're just looking for a job. And hiring managers and recruiters don't want to deal with people who are just looking for a job, because when they get the job and they're getting their salary, that's the end of it. They're not motivated enough to do more.
Yeah.
So you might want to be careful. If you are applying for the same company in the same or a related or similar role, that is advisable. Then everyone knows, okay, this candidate really wants this job and or want to work with us in this field. Then there's no problem with that. In fact, I've seen in one of our recruitment, there was this candidate who was always applying for a particular role that's in a particular field. And eventually, the person got the role. The person got the role eventually. So yes, but don't just apply for any open position with the company, because it sends a message across that you just need a job. That's all. And that's not, it's not good for you as a job applicant.
Yeah, I would want to add up. As Samuel said, yes, don't just apply for it's like you want to just test the waters, so you just want to check everywhere. If it's a particular role, like let's say finance or internal auditing or HR, you're aiming at, you can apply a number of times. But then one thing I would say is you shouldn't submit this exact resume or the exact cover letter. You can change a bit some things in it, and if, for instance, when you were rejected the first time, the feedback indicated that there was some shortfalls with your CV, definitely you need to work on it. If you think, okay, while you've been rejected, if you think, okay, you have to get some experience, try getting them. There are a lot of online courses or courses you can do online, LinkedIn courses, just try and add something to your CV so that when you are reapplying, it's a bit richer than when it was submitted early on. Yes, this can go a long way to maybe giving you the job the next time. Update your experience, network, try and attend workshops, free workshops, webinars, and just once I attend any event, I just add it to my CV. I don't know when it will be useful. I just keep editing my CV. So right now I just do that. Yeah. So I think if you want to reapply, make sure that you've done something different to your CV. You've changed the presentation, the appearance. Someone mentioned it when he was talking about softwares or systems that do the recruiting and all. And it's good and it's bad in a way, because unlike before, when it was, should I say, the analog time, when people go through the CVs and see. Now, if you don't have a particular word in your CV or on your CV, and whatever they are searching, the IT people, the algorithm or whatever, yeah, you might be okay, you might be qualified, but just because that didn't appear on the CV, or the CV wasn't presented in a way that the software should capture it, then you just lose it. So I think this way also, before you reapply, you just try and contact or consult coaches and HRO professionals, people who are good at presenting CVs properly in a way that it will meet the trends. Yeah, this new day. Yeah, so I think that's what I want to add.
Great. That was also going to be my next question. Is it important to get a career coach or a mentor? So I think that is also important, that when you have that, as you mentioned, that they would be able to really assist with some things you might not see as important, but they know what they're looking for, so they can really see this. So would want to jump to the audience so that we can get some of the questions from the audience in here. Okay, so this is a question that says, as a graduate I'm applying for several jobs in my field, but none seems to be working out. People are saying I should add value to myself to be better off in case of any future opportunities. Meanwhile, I'm engaged in a petty job that does not give a chance or space to learn a new skill or adding value to myself in my field, be it virtual or physical. What can I do? Any idea? This is a tough one.
Samuel.
Okay. In fact, actually, it's not so tough, Frank. The reason being that you can always make time to develop yourself. And the fact that you are currently having something that you are doing that is fetching you income alone is an opportunity for you to learn some skills. So people think that learning certain skills means you have to go to school, like formal sitting in class being taught before you can learn skills. But the skills that actually make you stand out are soft skills, communication. So the business you are doing, how do you communicate with your clients? How do you treat that business, or how do you position that business to teach you a lot of things? So you are not far off. What you are doing is actually good, and it's good that you are not just sitting in the house doing nothing. You are trying your hands on something, but find a way that you can add value to what you are doing and learn from that. And then you can use that to actually help you in your job search. So you are running a small business. How do you relate with your clients? You can put such things in your CV or your resume. It shows a lot for recruiters. People just want to see people who are how do I call it? Hardworking. Not the word hard. I don't want to use the word hardworking because now we have smart working. People who are not lazy, but they just want the opportunity that will help them blow. So yes, you can learn from there, and there are various ways that you can actually even take online courses. You don't need to do a full-blown course, sit in the class morning to evening. Maybe if your free time is 10 to 11 p.m. in the night, you can just decide to go to one of these free online learning platforms and take a course and get your certification for that and use that to prove that you have, at least you're adding skills to what you have. So basically, that's what I have. I think Joan can add to it.
Yes, thank you. Yes, you said you are involved in petty trading. I think it's all about setting your priorities and being able to balance. And this where one of the skills of being able to multitask would come in. If you can be doing your petty trading, and now you don't need a big laptop, you have your phone and you can do the online courses and all. You should have a plan. Okay, I'm doing this trading for like 6 months. Let me just make time for it. And with time, after the 6 months, you should be able to plan your life, get a schedule, make a good plan that, okay, there are times when you're trading, maybe midday, customers wouldn't come in so frequent, like early and the late evenings and all. You should be able to balance, set your priorities. Fine, I'm trading, making money, but I have to look at 10 years time. I have to look at 5 years time. And the only way to get there, I need to develop myself. So let me give myself like 2 hours in the day and attend this course and do something. And if you're able to multitask, that's something you can add to your CV that, okay, you have the multitasking skill because you were doing your petty trading and you were still able to go to school. And there are people who have full-time jobs and still go to classes in the evenings. They go for evening classes, they go for weekend classes. It's stressful, but I think that's the sacrifice you need to make to get there. Yeah.
Thank you very much. And I would also add that now on social media, there's a lot of people sharing content about how to improve yourself for free. So odds are when you are whatever trade you're doing, you spend at least a quarter of your time on your phone. So that quarter, you could use it to add some value to yourself as well. So that is something that you could do. The next question from Nodumo says, do HR managers really give feedback to candidates that are not selected? Is it a practice here on our continent?
I know it is not legally required that HR managers should, but I think I can't really say because, okay, I've not been rejected, so I can't say if I've gotten a rejection feedback. But where I work, at least with the little time I've been in the HR department, we've sent feedback to, I think, a lady who was rejected requested for feedback, and we sent to her. We sketched something, drafted something, and sent to her. So if I'm speaking from my end, yes, we do, but I can't tell for others.
But only if you request, yes?
Yes, only yes. So we just let you know that you've been rejected, we've taken a candidate and all. But if you request, yes, we do. Yeah.
Okay. Sam, what about you?
Yeah, we also do. And to be honest with you, as an HR person, that's one of the difficult things that I have to do. And I've done a lot of rejection feedbacks, and we do. So it's just a matter of asking for it. However, one thing that I have noticed is that people also ask for feedback when they are not shortlisted. Now that becomes very difficult for HR people to be able to give you feedback, because most of the time when you're doing recruitment, it is not only the HR people who are doing the recruitment. The HR people are actually consulting by helping the department that's doing the recruitment. So a whole lot of things goes into shortlisting of CVs and stuff like that. So if you ask me why you've not been shortlisted for a role, I will not be able to, because I've not had a chance to engage with you to tell you this and this is the reason. However, if you go through the process, then we have enough information on the process to be able to give you feedback. So yes, from my end, that's one thing we do, but you have to request for it. Once you request for that, we do. But don't also be surprised if you request for it and you don't get it. Organizations are run differently. So, but professionally, it would be nice for HR people to give feedback to candidates, at least so that they can also know how to position themselves. But it doesn't always happen. I'm talking for HR people. Doesn't always happen. And most of the time, because we are just busy. Sometimes we don't even have, John mentioned that maybe the CEO just wants this person to, after going through the process and everything, the top guy say, okay, I don't like this. Let's just pick this guy. So, and you know that guy is actually not qualified enough to, there's no reason to give to anyone. So you don't want to also put yourself in very uncomfortable situations to go say something that can even create problem for you. Other jurisdictions, to be honest, you don't take time on how you give feedback. You can open up a lot of opportunities for people to actually see your organization.
That's great.
Yeah, and I would just want to chip in that I think this is a platform to then sensitize applicants to ask, because as someone mentioned, if they ask, they might be given or they'll be given. So if you've been rejected, it's okay for you to ask for feedback, which would help you. Yeah, so we should ask. Yeah.
Okay, so the key point I'm taking note of is that if I'm not shortlisted at all, I should look at my CV first, because there might be a problem with the CV. But if I go through the process and I'm dropped during the week, I can ask the HR manager that, hey, what happened? What's wrong? Help me improve, right?
Yeah.
Yes, so that should be the way you speak about it. Don't be like, hey, you let me spend all this time, come to your office and all of that, and then it shouldn't be confrontational. It should be very pleasant discussion to help you improve yourself, because it might help you get access to a bigger job somewhere else as well. Now, this question comes from Elsie. She says that many jobs reject you because they want you to have 2, 3, 4 years of experience. At the entry level, how are we getting that years of experience without being given the chance at first?
John, would like to go out?
Okay, this is a big issue that it's always everywhere on social media, on Twitter, people complaining that you, as she said, you want 2, 3 years worth of years of experience. How do I get it when I'm just out of the university? The only thing I would say is I think that is where internships come in. While you are in school, you have like 4 years. So if you are able to carry out an internship program not really every holiday, or let's say every year, at least you've been able to get like some 3 years of experience, hands-on experience. Yeah, and yes, so I think internships can help voluntarily, just applying for. There are some people just want volunteers in their offices and all. It can also help. Yeah, I think those are the few things I can say.
Yeah, internships are very important. In Africa, most of us go through university and we've not even spent 1 month doing internship, which is not the very best. Internships are very important. So, yeah.
Okay, great. And one thing I would like to add is that there are a lot of non-governmental organizations that need people with skills, but they can't afford it. So they have open positions that you can search for. If you find it, you can ask them to be your referee. You can ask them to write a great review for you, because they are not paying you. So that would be the way they compensate you with that. And that referral might be the way you get into a job, because if the people contact that person, they might be able to speak very well on your behalf, and that might be very beneficial for you. So look out for those volunteer roles as well, and that could be very helpful. Now, the next question is, can I speak my way into a job? Now, this is the scenario. I am not there are others who probably have applied who are much skilled than I am. Is there a way in the interview that I can speak and assure the team that, look, everybody here is applying for the job. I am going to work extra hard in this role. I'm not just coming here to just sit down. Is there a way you can really talk yourself into a role? Is it always the thing that the person with the best qualifications win?
The person with the best qualification doesn't always win.
Okay.
But the person who has the aptitude to learn and be trained and is a culture fit for the role or the organization is the person that is usually selected. So that's why sometimes the rejection hits people so hard, because they know that I am the best qualified candidate on paper, but are you a culture fit? If the organization is collaborative in nature, they like a lot of teamwork, and you are an individual person, like to work in silo, hiding somewhere. You are not a culture fit. A good recruitment process will easily, phase you, detect that. So yes, to answer the last question, the best candidate or the most qualified candidate doesn't always get the job. Yes, and I've seen that happen most of the time. Most of the time when we've done recruitment and selection and we are at the very final stage, things just sway all the time. So this is a guy everyone is thinking I will get the job, but at the end of everything, you put two people together and say, this guy is good, but he may create problems when he comes in. He's too competitive. He doesn't like to share. So then you go for the guy who will share and who can be trained, because you can train skills, knowledge, and abilities. You cannot train behavior. And that's one thing that recruiters look out for. You cannot train behavior. You cannot change behavior of people. Now, coming to the question of, sorry, I've even forgotten. maybe John can handle that. Please.
Yeah.
Well, you asked.
Can you speak your way into the
qualified.
job? So if you are in the interview, you are not the most qualified. Can you assure them in the interview that you'll be the best guy or the best lady?
Yes, it's possible. It's very possible that you can speak your way to the job. There are people who are good. Let's say you are applying for a marketing role, then you have to be good with convincing people to maybe buy this product or subscribe to this particular package. So I think such people, they already have the innate ability to speak and convince. So such a person, I think he should be able to speak his way in the interview. But then, yes. So there, it doesn't really, qualification doesn't really come, because I would want to use an interview I was part of. Oh yeah, I witnessed or I observed. I think there were about 5 applicants, and per the paper, the CV, there were other people qualified, more qualified than the person who was selected. And that was when one of the panel members was like, this is should I say, the first time that is realizing or coming to terms that CV or what you write on your CV doesn't really count. And that is why interviews are very, very important. The face-to-face communication, the face-to-face interaction. Because per the CV, the person they picked wasn't even top 3. But in the end, he made it because he was able to show, he was able to speak his abilities, he was able to show that he was fit for the job. And those who had the qualifications and all were rather not taken. So I think it's possible to speak your way, to a job and get,
Thank you. Now someone go ahead.
So let me just share a funny observation. So over the course of my career, one thing I've noticed that people who school in the US and maybe in the UK, especially the US, are very vocal people, very vociferous people. I don't know how the education system trains them, but they're able to speak their way through things. But what can happen is that you can be able to speak your way through things, but you have to be careful and be sure that you can do the work. Because getting the job is one thing, doing the job is another thing. So you just have to be careful. And then I think as an advice for everyone on this call, you should also learn how to sell yourself. Yes, I don't know how the US system trains people, but you know a friend who is very timid, goes to the US, school in the US, come back, and all of a sudden they know how to, they are everywhere. They know how to talk. Yes. So we should all learn how to talk, but talk with substance, not just because talk is cheap. It's very cheap.
Yeah, true. Now, this next question is my favorite and actually my question. Sometimes you see a job application and the requirements are so long, and you know that you are not 100% qualified. Right? Like you don't, because that's what they're looking for. These are the requirements. You must have this, you must have this, you must have that. But you don't have all of it. What percentage of the requirement do you need to have in order to apply?
Samuel, please start.
Okay, Frank, I like the fact that you put a percentage to it, which makes things more quantifiable. You don't, and in a situation where you're actually 100% candidate for a role, that means you're actually overqualified for that role. Yes. So on a normal or in a normal situation, you will not meet the full requirement of jobs. It doesn't mean that you have to be 100% what is on the job description. Job descriptions basically tell you what the job entails, or what you'll be doing, or what is envisaged that the candidates will be performing when they are recruited. So yes, you don't need to fit the full profile, but at least you should be able to demonstrate that you have at least some good percentage. 60, this is not bad. Average is okay, because that's why I said a very good recruitment system is able, or a selection process is able to identify candidates. That's why some institutions will let you write aptitude tests. These tests actually just predict your success in the future. That's what they do. So cognitive aptitude, personality tests, and all these things just help to predict the success of the candidate on the job. So you don't need to fully fit the role. You can, when you are sure that at least half of the role you qualify for it, and you have transferable skills that you can transfer to that role, just go ahead and apply for it. I've seen, in fact, in one of the questions I wanted to talk about the father, it was the question related to the experience, having a lot of experience to work. Sometimes you just don't need so much experience. I've seen people who have just graduated a year or two who are able to, through the recruitment process, the process is able to show that this person can even do better than the person who has been in the system 5 years, because that person is only doing one thing every day. And these candidates actually have multi-skill that they can bring on board. So I encourage people to apply for roles that they feel like they are not 100%, but at least you should be able to meet the minimum requirements for the role.
All right. John, any additional?
Yes.
Yes, I would agree with the 60%. I think 60% is okay. So the major requirements, if you are maybe a first degree holder, that you should have. For me, if they say, okay, you should have like maybe 8 or 7 years experience in the particular field or a related field. If you don't have up to 7, you have like 3, 4, you can attempt it. You can attempt to apply. You have the first degree. If they ask for some maybe professional certificates, or you should be part of a professional body, you should know that you have that. Yes, so, and if you have, most times, if they require some soft skills, you should know that you have those soft skills before you apply. And so I think 60% is fair. 60% is fair. For me, most times the years experience, if they say 10 years, you have like 6, 5, it's fine. you can give it a shot. So I don't think you should be even up to 80 or 100%. 60, 50, 60 is fine. It's a fair attempt.
Guys, so you heard it here first. 60% is okay. Don't wait until you're 100% and apply. If you're 100%, you are overqualified. That means you shouldn't take that role. That means you are more than qualified. That is, so the requirements is basically the peak that they are looking at. So if you fall anywhere within it, that is fine. And also, if you're very able, you're able to transfer some of your skills. Let's say you are in some other field, and then you're going into another field. Based, let's say, is another leadership position, because you've also held another leadership position or management position, it can very much move in there and then be a very big plus for you, because maybe others might have that years of experience, but they don't have that managerial experience, which would be required in there. The next question is, how long should I take to ask for feedback after I'm rejected? I think that was discussed earlier, that you should take your time to really be calm, and then you ask for feedback. The next question is, how do I identify the mistakes that made them reject me, so I won't repeat the same mistakes? So the point was given in the meeting that, first of all, if you're not shortlisted, there's a problem with your CV. If you're shortlisted and you go through the process and you drop out during that process, then you can ask for feedback, and some companies will write back to you, not all companies. So hope the HR director or the person that you are speaking to is as cordial as our panelists here, so that they will write back to you and tell you what they are doing. But please note that they also have a busy schedule, so they might not be able to respond immediately when they get that feedback. Why are the employers requesting reference letters before hiring? Because for us as job seekers, it requires a lot of money to get those letters, traveling expenses, and then later on getting rejected. Matt's an issue. I really did not get the full crust of this. From what I know, reference letters are people you just give their contacts, where they are reached out to whenever they need to inquire more about you, and then they get that feedback to be able to help you in your process as well. But I'm not really sure about your specific scenario. But whatever it is a cost to bear, because you are trying to get the job as others are also trying to get a job. So if 50 people applied, all 50 of them did that same requirement that was asked for them. So it's kind of the cost to get the job. So you'd have to take it in good faith. But I don't know why they would have to pay. Okay, maybe if you're having to physically deliver the application, that can be a challenge. Some institutions don't use digital means. They want a physical hard copy that is on their table that they can sort through. That is difficult, but let's just hope they adapt soon for your sake. Andre asked, sometimes one can be rejected based on utter discrimination. What's then? That's a very sensitive question.
Yes, it is. And I think from the ongoing discussion, Andre should have known by now that it's not always the time that things run professionally, but in very professional institutions. That's why you also need to opt for, as a job candidate, it's not just every job you go for. You should have value. You should respect yourself too. If a company doesn't value diversity, inclusion, equity, it's not a company I would advise you to be looking at working with. Yes, you need a job to survive, but do you really think it's worth it? Are you going to be happy there even if you get a job? So yeah, it happens. Even in the interview process, one thing that we are taught as HR people, some of the errors in interview, someone can just look at one thing and like that thing about a candidate. So I like yellow dresses. So if I see someone in a yellow dress, the halo effect, you use one attribute and then everything is focused on the yellow dress. So even if the candidate is not good, oh, she's wearing a yellow dress, so I like it. Then that affects the final outcome of the interview. So discrimination is normal, but it happens. And I think it's one thing that HR people try to avoid, because nowadays what's happening is that there are legal implications for discrimination. In Europe and US for instance, it's crazy when it comes to issues of diversity, inclusion, and equity. It's a big thing over there. And so companies will even give you the opportunity to declare a whole lot of things before you even send in your application, so that they don't discriminate against you. They don't question some questions like, are you married? How old are you? Are questions that in certain jurisdictions is not allowed to ask, because you can discriminate, or someone can tell you that you have discriminated against me. I didn't get the job because of my age. I'm 40 and above, and you are looking for younger people. You recruited a younger person. So this is the reason why you didn't recruit me, and can take you on. So yeah, discrimination happens, but I think legal nations are actually trying to bring in laws that can help streamline some of these things. So basically, that's what I can say about it. I don't know if Joan wants to.
Yeah, you've said everything, and that's why most hiring advertisements, advertisement for vacancies, and the footnote, they write that we don't discriminate either gender, disabilities, and all that. I see most adverts having that thing there. So when you see such an opening, you should know that, okay, this is safe. As Samuel said, you should respect yourself. Don't just throw your applications everywhere, in as much as we are desperate for jobs or a means of livelihood. Yeah. So yes, but another thing is, how would you know if you were rejected out of discrimination? I don't think that would be stated in the feedback. Should we say you got a feedback? I don't think that would be clearly stated that because that was why you were rejected. So at times I would say that it may just be your own mentality or whatever telling you, or just making you feel consoled that it was out of discrimination that I was rejected, which might not really have been the case. Yes, it could also be, as I said, that it happens. It happens. There are usually cases of such, but I wouldn't want you to base that, or because of that, don't push forward. Fine, you were discriminated in this opening. It doesn't mean the next opening you would be discriminated. So it just still says that you should just keep pushing. You would just say that, okay, I wouldn't apply to this particular company or this organization again. I'll throw my net into other organizations. Yeah. Yeah.
That's true. That's true. So Andre was discriminated against because he's disabled. So that is quite unfair. And as someone mentioned, you need to find an institution that actually thinks about those things as well. It is an unfortunate part of our lives that these things happen, but we need to be able to find organizations that will be more embracing, and then hopefully that will be able to help us get a job that will be happy in there. For if you went in there, probably the people in there also have that same perception, and that might cause a lot more emotional distress than if you didn't get it in the long run. So it's unfortunate that happened to you, Andre. I hope you find a wonderful place to work that embraces you as you are. Guys, I've taken 20 minutes extra of your time. I'm very sorry about that, but the discussions were very engaging. I know people are now putting in their questions. It's unfortunate. We plan to spend an hour and we are over 20 minutes past that time. So we want to thank our panelists, Mr. Samuel Nagbo and Ms. Joni Yoha. We're very, very grateful for the insights that you have given us in here. We have a survey that is in the chat. So please take your time to fill the survey, as it will help us to be able to give better webinars, to be able to also improve on this particular one that we've had. And hopefully the next session that you'll be joining, your questions might be answered. And if we are able to speculate or get a bigger amount of time, maybe people can come in and then ask their questions directly so we can hear from the audience as well. Thank you all. I don't know if Mr. Samuel and Ms. Joan, you have any last comments before we end the session?
Ladies first.
Okay, thank you. So just a very short one. Life is not always fair, and rejections are very heartbreaking. Either jobs, emotional, there are some, you go through different forms of rejection. So that's the life we find ourselves. If everything is smooth in life, then it may be quite boring. Yeah, I can imagine. So it's okay. The major thing is when you get rejected, just try and never give up. I'm not a good motivational speaker. I don't even fancy those motivational speeches, but we hear of all those scientists and all, and those inventors who tried a number of times till the last one and they got it. So it's never too late or too much to say, just keep applying. If you feel that, okay, this is not my line. One thing I have noticed also that at times when you get feedback from hiring managers, it can also help you see that, okay, this line, this career I'm doing isn't good for me. You can also decide to change. So it's a matter of sitting back and analyzing why you were rejected and working on it and not just remaining there. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mr. Samuel.
June has actually said a lot, but what I want to add is that please, if you are seeking for employment, know that it's a full-time job on its own. Seeking for employment is not something that's very easy. It's a full-time job on its own. So make time, put in effort, continue to send in your resumes, applications, get involved in your community engagement adds a lot to your resume. And then have support groups so that even if you face a rejection, you're able to fall on people who can support you, and hopefully you're able to get your dream job. Thank you
you very much, our panelists. What I would also add is add value to yourself while you're waiting for your job. Don't just be sad about the job that you got rejected about. Add some value to yourself so that the next time you're applying, your CV is a little bit richer than it was in the previous state. So please do all that, and we wish you the best. Actually, Andre said the situation happened in 1997. He's currently a lecturer at a university and he's very happy. So congrats, Andre, that you were able to overcome that situation. It's unfortunate, but these things happen. Please fill the survey. It will take less than 5 minutes of your time, and it will be beneficial for us to bring these webinars to you. Thank you guys again for spending your morning/afternoon with us based on where you are from the world. And we are very grateful for your comments, your insights, and your points that were made. And please learn more about the African Jobs Board by visiting africa.edujobs.com. You'll see jobs from academia in there. You can we also need your contacts in order to be able to reach out to you. You can share it out to as many people as you want as well, so that they can also see these opportunities as well. Until we come to you next time, please be safe and take care of yourselves. Goodbye.
Bye.